What's going on, guys? This is Robbie One Kenobi, and today I am bringing you my Ultima Lucha 2015 review. Undoubtedly, this was one hell of a show from Lucha Underground. If you don't know what Lucha Underground is undoubtedly one of the hottest up-and-coming wrestling promotions, not named NXT, not named ROH, not named WWE. Lucha Underground is basically all about wrestling. It brings together a diverse group of performers, wrestlers from the United States, wrestlers from AAA in Mexico, wrestlers from all over the world who have established themselves as some of the top talent. You do have former WWE talent, former TNA talent in this company, and Lucha Underground is all about wrestling. If you want top-notch wrestling, Lucha Underground is the show to watch. And it just had its season finale, which was a 2-night, 3-hour event known as Ultima Lucha, which in Spanish means the ultimate fight, the final fight. And this show was just amazing. I loved it. From start to finish, this show was just freaking entertaining. I mean, what a show. It was a hell of a show from start to finish, like I said. Let's just get down to the review because I'm starting to just repeat myself. So this show was divided between 2 nights. Night 1 was last Wednesday, and then night 2, which was the 2-hour season finale, recently finished on Wednesday. So I'm reviewing this show as a whole, and my overall show rating will be for the show as a whole. So we started off night 1 with the Mack versus Cage in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And this was an exciting hardcore match. 6 spots throughout. I really think Willie Mack is a very underrated talent. He's been having some really good matches since he arrived on Lucha Underground. And I think Cage is he's quite a big man in terms of his performances. If pushed well, if continued to be pushed right, I think he can be not only one hell of a big man on Lucha Underground, but also if he gets signed by WWE, NXT, ROH. I know Cage has been wrestling for a little while, but he's a hell of a big man. And I know Matt Striker and Vampiro were like praising this dude because he was kicking out of he took some sick bumps, throughout this match, and he kept kicking out. Right when you thought the Mac had him, he kept, showing versatility, resilience. I mean, he took a diving powerbomb off the apron through a table, and he still kicked out. They brawled a little bit in the crowd, then they took it to the top of the temple, and then they actually brawled a little bit near Dario Cueto's office where Fenix got powerbombed by Muertes. And there was a moment where, why did I almost say Phoenix? Cage actually suplexed Mack from like the standing room portion of the balcony onto the top of the roof of Dario Cueto's office, if that makes sense. And I know fans were marking out for that moment, and I remember Cage going for the cover, and I said, if Cage beats Mack with that move, that's ridiculous, because Willie Mack can get beat by a suplex, but no, they kept going at it, and then it had this sick ending with Willie Mack getting curb stomped through cinder blocks by Cage. Basically, Cage had him like lying down face first on the top of Dario Cueto's office. There were these 2 cinder blocks set up. Cage looked like to be going for a surfboard stretch and just literally drilled Mack face first through the cinder blocks for the 1, 2, 3. Damn good way to start the show. 3 stars. And, of course, you know where to look for my match ratings in the description box. But from now on, I think I'm not even going to mention that because you already know. If you've seen my reviews from day 1 when I started my YouTube channel, you already know all the match ratings and overall show ratings are in the description box. So 3 stars for Mack versus Cage, a very exciting way to kick off Ultima Lucha. Then we had the Trios championship match. Team Havoc, which was Son of Havoc, Ivelisse, and Angelico versus the Disciples of Death with Catrina. This match was decent. I was disappointed because I was expecting it to be a little better. But, kudos to all 6 performers in this match. Good spots here and there. Angelico, once again, this guy is just a freaking daredevil. I mean, he is just awesome with that dive he did from the top of the bleachers onto Son of Havoc. And I don't remember how many members of the Disciples of Death But once again, this guy's showing that he's a hell of a performer. And I've said it for a while. I think he's a dark horse on Lucha Underground. I know Angelico has done time in AAA. He held the World Tag Team titles with Jack Evans. Angelico wrestles for another international organization. I do not remember it off the top of my head. But Angelico is very exciting. I mean, he's the daredevil of this dysfunctional trio. And, shout out to Ivelisse, too, for her efforts in this match, because ever since Ivelisse's ankle was legit broken in the final match in the Trios Championships tournament, she's been competing on one leg. And somebody on Twitter actually said that, everybody's talking about how John Cena had that miraculous comeback with his nose broken the way it was in his match with Seth Rollins, how resilient he was and the credit he deserves for finishing the match with his nose in the condition it was. But nobody praises Ivelisse for what she's gone through and for the matches she's wrestled in with just one leg. Now, her leg is healed, because here's the thing about Lucha Underground. This show is filmed weeks, months in advance. And I inadvertently spoiled the results of this match, the main event, and the Gift of the Gods match, which I'll get to later in my review. And that's the one thing I hate, is that the results of Lucha Underground are already on Wikipedia weeks, months before the matches even happen. So that was honestly an accident. I came across that because I was just looking stuff up on Lucha Underground. And I think in the future, the Lucha Underground spoilers should be saved until after the event happens. But getting back to this match, it was, like I said, decent. Ivelisse did take a bump or two here from the Disciples of Death. They actually had her in this, this leg wrench submission that looked pretty painful. But the girl's a hell of a trooper, and she is the baddest bitch in that temple for a reason. That's just not a nickname. I mean, she's a hell of a fighter. And even Ivelisse and Catrina had a little cat fight towards the end of the match. But in the end, the Disciples of Death walked away with the Trios Championships, because in the midst of that cat fight, Catrina cracked Ivelisse over the head with that rock that seems to give the Disciples of Death and Mil Muertes this power, sort of like the Urn did with the Undertaker back in the day. But hey, that's cool that the Disciples of Death are the new Lucha Underground Trios champions, and I'm happy that they have new ring gear now, because when they first debuted, they wore the same damn mask and the same damn tights. Now they have different masks, different tights, and we're able to identify them. Interestingly, I know that Barrio Negro is actually Hernandez, who's a masked luchador on Lucha Underground, and then Ricky Mandel plays Trece, the disciple who wears the bodysuit. But hey, like I said, decent match, but some good performances from the competitors, especially Angelico. Son of Havoc, nice little spots from him. He's growing on to me as well. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what the Disciples of Death, where they go from here. I mean, because I think they're a real cool trio, especially with, Catrina, as sexy as she is, with her, as their manager, their leader, their valet. She's got that rock that grants them that power. But yeah, like I said, it was a little disappointing, the match, but decent for the most part. But once again, I think Angelico was the MVP of this match with that freaking insane dive. Then we had the Believers Backlash match between Drago and Hernandez. And this was basically a lumberjack match with a twist, with a strap match thrown into the mix. And it made for a fun match. Drago, I like his new Batman look with the black gear and the black wings. It was funny because whenever Drago got thrown out of the ring, the Believers did not even take one swing at him. But as soon as Hernandez got thrown out of the ring, they started whipping him good with those leather straps. And I was wondering what would happen if Hernandez took the strap from somebody, or if he got in the face of one of the Believers and actually punched him, or straight up knocked him down. What would happen? But Hernandez did hit this sick power bomb from the ring onto the Believers. He ran and he threw Drago powerbomb style onto the Believers. But Drago bounced back with the mist in Hernandez's face as Hernandez went for the dive, and Drago got the win to the delight of the Believers. And it was a fun strap match, it was, like I said, Believers Backlash is a Believers Backlash. I can speak English, excuse me. Is a cross between a strap match and a lumberjack match, and it was fun. I would like to see that again if it's used in the right context, if booked and built right. It was a fun little experiment for this match, and this was a fun match. So that was the main event of night 1, and then night 2 kicked off with Johnny Mundo versus Alberto El Patron in their long-awaited grudge match. Let me put it to you like this. Night 1 was a good show. But night 1, you could say, was the appetizer. And night 2 was the main course. Don't get me wrong. Night 1 was a good show. It was a nice start to Ultima Lucha. But the main course, you could say, was night 2. And night 2 delivered big time. The 2-hour season finale. And it started off with Mundo and El Patron, 2 renowned performers in the professional wrestling business. 2 incredible athletes going head-to-head in a straight-up wrestling match. And this was a great wrestling match between these 2. Nice near falls, nice back-and-forth action. Early on, Johnny playing the heel. He tried to run away from Alberto. He tried to crawl underneath the ring and actually got some dust and threw it in Alberto's face, dirt from underneath the ring. These guys, I bet if WWE was watching this, they feel bad for not giving these guys the opportunities they deserved in WWE. John Morrison had a good run in WWE, and I always believed he deserved the WWE title or the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He was World Championship material, and unfortunately it never came to be, especially in 2011, because in 2011, after he had that match with The Miz, Falls Count Anywhere, and yes, he did have the triple threat match with Miz and Cena inside the cage at Extreme Rules that year. I mean, John went on to have the 6-person tag match with Snooki and Trish Stratus at WrestleMania. He went on to have that small feud with R-Truth, which never really had a payoff. That could have been a really good feud, even for a mid-card feud. And yeah, it's just a shame how he left the company, especially a performer of his caliber. And Alberto, Real Pro Wrestling said this. He said it best. Lucha Underground, within a month, hell, even less than a month, did more with Alberto El Patron, made him more relevant than WWE did within 4 years. And Alberto had a nice little run in WWE, but it was not the run he should have had. So I bet this felt like vindication for him and Johnny Mundo to go out there and just have a hell of a wrestling match, because that's what they want to do. They want to wrestle, and they had a great match. Senior official Marty Elias took a pretty sick bump in this match. He took one of Alberto's super kicks, and then Alberto turned the tide on Johnny by getting him in the cross arm breaker, and Johnny tapped. Johnny was tapping, but of course the referee was knocked out, so the ref can't call for the bell. And then Johnny got trapped in the corner in another modified arm breaker, which was pretty friggin' sick, because I don't ever remember Alberto performing that move in WWE. And if he did, hey, comment down below and tell me who he did it on and when it was. And then out came MELINA. And I marked out when MELINA came out and assisted Johnny Mundo. She basically grabbed Alberto's Mega Campeon title and cracked Alberto over the head with it and allowed Johnny to hit the end of the world, a.k.a. Starship Pain, for the 1-2-3. And, I was so happy to see MELINA in Lucha Underground, because when I met MELINA at WrestleCon, we talked a little bit about WWE. We talked about what MELINA had been up to with her podcast and whatnot since leaving WWE. But I never mentioned Lucha Underground. We talked about how Johnny was doing on Lucha Underground, but I didn't ask MELINA if she would go to Lucha Underground. And, I thought MELINA would be a great addition to Lucha Underground, especially with Johnny, because they're a real-life couple. They were a couple on screen, and they're a real-life couple off screen. So I'm really happy to see MELINA back with Johnny in Lucha Underground. I marked out for it. I even tweeted it, and MELINA favorited it on Twitter. But Alberto El Patron got the last laugh and the last wink, so to speak, because he kicked the crap out of Johnny after that match, and he threw Johnny's head through the glass window of Dario Cueto's office door. And that was right there. That was payback for Alberto getting thrown face first through the window of Dario Cueto's office. And like Matt Striker put it, payback was a bitch. And Johnny bled buckets. I don't know if that was real or that was a bad blade job, but he bled buckets, man. And then Alberto spanked MELINA, and that was pretty much it. He got the last laugh and the last wink. But a great, great match between these two. And I know this feud is not over between them, and I'm hoping that when Lucha Underground returns, that we get more great matches from these guys and one hell of a conclusion, one hell of a payoff. But great match from start to finish. 3 3/4 stars. In my opinion, this was second best match of the night. And it was close to being match of the night, but I'll get to the match of the night later on in this review. After that, we got the Cero Miedo match. Cero Miedo. The no fear, the zero fear match between Vampiro and Pentagon Jr. And guys, this freaking match was brutal. This defined brutality. I mean, it took brutality to a new level. This was as hardcore could get. First off, Vampiro came out in this wicked Pope getup, looking like an unholy Pope. And I just thought, damn, man, that is awesome. That's Vampiro bringing back, that old, dark side from many, many years ago. I thought that was awesome, his ring attire. And then while I'm on the subject of ring attire, Pentagon Jr. came out in all white. He usually comes out in all black, but he came out in all white, and he wore this really cool shirt that had his face on one half, or half of his face on one side and half of Beto Aguayo Jr.'s face on the other side, because Pentagon and Beto Aguayo were very close friends. They were part of Beto's the mob, the evil dogs, the bad dogs, in AAA in Mexico. So this match starts off with Pentagon Jr. just beating the hell out of Vampiro with a steel chair, and then it started taking hardcore to a new level when Pentagon Jr. removed some of the padding, the mat on the outside, and he delivered an attitude adjust. No. He delivered an FU, because this is not WWE. This is not PG. Pentagon Jr. delivered an FU to Vampiro on the concrete, and Vampiro took a beating, and I think he tried to choke Vampiro with a cord or something, and Vampiro started to bleed from the back of his head. Referee called off Pentagon Jr. It looked like the match was going to be called off. They put Vampiro on a stretcher. They started to wheel him off. Vampiro was like, to hell with this. I'm not leaving this. I'm not leaving. I'm not going out like that. He starts wailing on the paramedics. He gets back into the ring. He hits a nice spinning heel kick on Pentagon Jr. He starts mounting offense. He brings thumbtacks into the ring. But then Pentagon Jr., I believe, slammed Vampiro on the thumbtacks. And before you know it, Pentagon Jr., brings in fluorescent light tubes. And he cracks one of those over Vampiro's head and busts Vampiro open badly. And then, to add insult to injury, he starts to carve Vampiro's head in with a broken shard of that fluorescent light tube, and the blood that was on his forearm. He licked the blood. I mean, that makes Pentagon Jr., that further solidifies him as a badass. I mean, he is just one of the best performers out there on Lucha Underground. His character is one of the darkest, most mysterious, and undoubtedly one of the most badass characters on this show. But then Vampiro, he had this last gasp, so to speak. He hip tossed Pentagon Jr. in the corner onto a positioned fluorescent light tube, smashed that, ripped the mask in half, ripped the mask open, and smashed Pentagon Jr. in the head with another fluorescent light tube, and this dude started to bleed, man. I mean, this was some of the most hardcore action I've ever seen in such a long time. I mean, these guys bled profusely. They went through thumbtacks. They got fluorescent light tubes smashed over their heads. Vampiro grabbing Pentagon from the top of the turnbuckle and throwing him onto the shards of glass, and I think there were some thumbtacks near it as well. And then Vampiro brings a table into the ring, sets that sumbitch on fire, tries to put Pentagon through it, but then Pentagon puts him through it with like a choke slam or something. And Vampiro, he was on fire for like 5-10 seconds. He was literally on fire. They put him out. Pentagon Jr. got the 1-2-3, and then Pentagon celebrated. Vampiro rolls back into the ring, or I think Vampiro was pinned in the ring. But anyway, Vampiro is begging Pentagon Jr. to break his arm. Specifically, he is saying, "Break it, motherfucker, break it." And Pentagon Jr. breaks Vampiro's arm. Now, here's where the match took a very, very interesting turn. Now, Pentagon Jr. up to this point had built a reputation for himself as a very dangerous person because he would snap his opponent's arms and he would sacrifice them to his master, his maestro, this mysterious entity that he never met in person, but he knew he existed. He just did not know who this maestro was. And then he tried to snap Sexy Star's arm, and Vampiro, prevented him from doing that. He intervened, and Pentagon Jr. took personal offense to that. And Vampiro almost even saved Melissa Santos from getting her arm snapped by Pentagon Jr. And Pentagon Jr. took personal offense to this. So that ultimately set the stage for their match at Ultima Lucha. And then Pentagon Jr. says, "Master, I have made yet another sacrifice for you. Where are you, my master?" And then Vampiro gets up and he says, "Hey, Pentagon, you're calling out your master? Well, guess what? He's right here." And when he said that, I was like, I knew it. Because I had this feeling that Vampiro, because of his personality, his dark, mysterious character, that he could be Pentagon Jr.'s master. And it's a perfect fit because Pentagon is dark, mysterious, he's dangerous, he's an enigma. Vampiro was an enigma back in the day, but Vampiro still has that dark side to him. They're a perfect match. And you could say it was a little predictable when Vampiro got up and started getting on the mic, but dude, it was a great, unexpected twist. One hell of a swerve. I loved it. Vampiro said, "You're ready, my son. You're ready." So it was just awesome, man. I mean, the perfect payoff to what was an incredible match and an incredible build. I mean, that friggin' match was awesome. Excuse me. That match was awesome. And in my opinion, that match not only solidified Pentagon Jr. as a badass, but that solidified Vampiro as a badass as well. And I cannot wait to see what these two have in store for Lucha Underground, with the fact that now it's been revealed that Pentagon is, or Vampiro is Pentagon's maestro. He's Pentagon's master, the master we've been hearing about for so long. What a match, guys. I mean, you definitely need to check this match out. This just took, like I said, hardcore and brutality to new levels. What an effort from both guys, especially Vampiro, who hasn't wrestled in years. Just an incredible match. Next, we had the Gift of the Gods match, the 7-way match between Fenix, Jack Evans, Sexy Star, Aerostar, Bengala, King Cuerno, and Big Ryck. And this was a fun match. It's what you would expect from a multi-person match of this caliber. Nice action. Aerostar, this friggin' guy, diving off the balcony onto his opponents. I mean, that was an insane, holy you-know-what spot. And for those of you that may not know what Gift of the Gods is, basically, in the weeks leading up to Ultima Lucha, Dario Cueto had 7 Aztec medallions, these ancient medallions that would grant the owner, not immortality, but would grant them power, so to speak. Basically, the 7 medallions were merged into this real nice-looking championship known as the Gift of the Gods. Whoever wins the Gift of the Gods championship basically has Money in the Bank, because this is Lucha Underground's version of Money in the Bank. But like Dario Cueto said, it's not to be used for a cheap cash-in. Whoever decides to cash in announces when they will cash in for their shot at the Lucha Underground Championship. And that's pretty much it. So these 7 each won a medallion, and they were going for the championship in a fun match. I don't remember much about it. I do remember Jack Evans. Shout out to the Lex Man, because he reminded me of this, and I totally forgot about it. So shout out to you, Deluxe, man. Jack Evans did this sick cartwheel into a backwards flip on the outside. He was supposed to land on somebody, didn't land on his feet, which I thought was sick. And then he got knocked down by, I forgot if it was Bengala or Aerostar. Sexy Star did her thing. Marty the Moth. Okay, this dude gets involved again, and Sexy Star owns him. And then Sexy Star drop kicks him out of the ring, and he crawls over to Melissa Santos, puts his hands on Melissa's legs, and Melissa freaks out. It was a priceless reaction. It's like that, ew, do not touch me. And Marty, when are you gonna learn, man? Sexy Star and Melissa Santos are not into you, dude. When are you gonna learn? But yeah, like I said, guys, this was a fun match. I can't really remember many other spots, but in the end, Fenix won the Gift of the Gods Championship, which I thought was fitting, considering who walked away with the Lucha Underground Championship in the main event, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, like I said, a fun multi-person match. Big Ryck, he looked a little dominant in it, knocking guys down left and right. But it looks like his relationship with Daivari, their partnership, is over because Daivari took a steel chair and was beating the hell out of Big Ryck with it. So it looks like we're going to have a Big Ryck Daivari feud when the show returns, hopefully. But yeah, Fenix got the win in a fun, exciting match. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing when Fenix will cash in with his Gift of the Gods Championship, which, like I said, that championship is a very nice original championship. Looks very ancient, especially considering that it consists of the 7 ancient medallions. So 3.5 stars for this match. Like I said, fun, exciting, and Aerostar with that insane dive off the balcony. I mean, man, that was some crazy shit right there. That was a crazy stunt, straight up. And like I said, the championship is real nice. Next, we had Blue Demon Jr. versus Tejano. This was not really a match. This was more of a segment. Basically, Melissa Santos announced that the match had been made into a no disqualification match per order of Dario Cueto. Tejano got offense in, powerbombed Blue Demon Jr. Then the crew, Mr. Cisco and Cortez Castro got involved. And then Chavo Guerrero came down with a steel chair. Chavo in the end ended up laying out not Blue Demon Jr. He ended up laying out Tejano, and Blue Demon Jr. got the 1-2-3. Not really a match, you guys. It was like a segment. I know the whole backstory, the whole storyline has been this Mexico feud or whatever's been going on, because I haven't watched Lucha Underground since the beginning of the season, which was back in October. But I did find out that in the beginning, Chavo betrayed Blue Demon Jr. by laying him out with a chair, and then this whole issue of Mexico coming for Dario Cueto and Chavo Guerrero began, and then it culminated here at Ultima Lucha with Blue Demon Jr. Defeating Tejano after he had betrayed Tejano like a couple weeks prior. So that's pretty much it, guys. I can't really say anything about this match. I was hoping they could have a good 5-minute match, but it was pretty much a segment. And I guess maybe that's just what it should have been. So yeah, I can't really rate it because it was a segment. But then we get to the main event. Prince Puma defending the Lucha Underground Championship against Mil Muertes. What an incredible match this was, guys. I mean, this had a very, very good, huge, big fight feel to it, especially when you consider Prince Puma. This guy's been on a roll ever since he won the Lucha Underground Championship. He has faced all comers, from Johnny Mundo to Chavo Guerrero to Cage to Drago to King Cuerno, I believe. I could be wrong. But anyway, Prince Puma has embodied a fighting champion. He's been resilient. He's been this valiant warrior. He's faced all comers. He's defied death in the past. He's death-defying. But the question was, could he defy death itself in the face of Mil Muertes, who had only been beaten once in Lucha Underground, and that was against Fenix in Grave Consequences. Other than that, Mil Muertes has been a beast. He's been this unstoppable monster, like he should be, because he is a freaking badass. So the question going into this match was, could Mil Muertes conquer? Could he topple Prince Puma, or could Puma do the impossible and topple Mil Muertes? Could he continue could his run as Lucha Underground champion continue? these guys put on a hell of a match. I mean, Muertes early on was manhandling Puma, throwing him into the crowd. I believe he countered Puma's suicide dive with a wicked steel chair shot a la Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit from Royal Rumble in 2001. These guys went at it back and forth. I love Prince Puma's version of GTS where he's got the guy on his shoulders, he throws him up and then kicks him in the face with both feet. Prince Puma's a hell of an athlete. And for those of you that don't know, Prince Puma is actually Ricochet from ROH. Yeah, man, I mean, Mil Muertes kept coming at Prince Puma. You know, Puma kept coming at Mil Muertes. It just kept going back and forth, back and forth. Puma hit his 630, and right when when it looked like Mil Muertes wasn't going to kick out, he kicked out. He became the first person to ever kick out of Puma's 630. Puma went for another 630. Mil Muertes countered, and then he drilled Puma with the flatliner, and then Puma, right when it looked like Puma was done, got his shoulder up. And I honestly thought the match was over at that moment. Even though I knew who was going to win, I honestly thought that's where the match was going to end. There was a sick table spot. Puma got speared through a table, through the ropes, off the apron, through a table. And then Muertes powerbombed him on the remnants of that broken table. I mean, it was just an insane championship match between two elite caliber athletes. And then in the end, Puma mounting one more comeback, got knocked off. Well, not knocked off, but he got knocked from the top rope into a super flatliner from Mil Muertes for the 1, 2, 3. Mil Muertes is your new Lucha Underground champion. And to quote Matt Striker, the age of death has officially begun. You have Mil Muertes, your Lucha Underground champion. You have the Disciples of Death as your Trios Underground champions. They are Lucha Underground's version of Evolution. They hold all the gold. They have all the power. Catrina is by their side. She holds their immortality, so to speak, with that rock. So the Disciples of Death and Mil Muertes, the age of death, has officially begun. What a show, guys, Ultima Lucha was from beginning to end. What a show. What a way for Lucha Underground to go out with a bang. Not just match-wise, but also with the vignette that aired at the end. Basically, Dario Cueto and White Lotus, the former Savannah of WWE and ECW, they were starting to gather all the things from Dario Cueto's office. And keep this in mind, White Lotus was Dario Cueto's hostage for quite some time in this series. I don't know the exact storyline, but in the end, White Lotus revealed that she was working for Dario Cueto all along. So they start grabbing things from his office. They head out in their car with, I believe, Dario Cueto's brother in the back. They just leave and they go to relocate. They abandon the temple. And then Fenix gets in this badass-looking car, the sweet-looking car that I think was an Impala. He gets into the car with his brand-new Gift of the Gods championship. He leaves. Tejano leaves right behind him in a truck. Ivelisse, son of Havoc, and Angelico, they all get on motorcycles and go their separate way with the intent to get back those Lucha Underground Trios championships. Drago and Aerostar, who had a best-of-5 series throughout the season. They bid farewell to each other, and Drago tells Aerostar in this badass, dragon voice, "Until we meet again, my friend." Vampiro and Pentagon Jr., they embark on their journey to a deeper, darker place, like Vampiro said when Pentagon asked what was next for them. It was just such an epic conclusion. That vignette, that segment was just freaking epic. It felt like something out of a Mortal Kombat or Tekken video game, when you beat the game. It was just awesome. And then at the end, there was a luchador in like an olive green mask who spray painted a big question mark over the Lucha Underground banner. And that pretty much sums up Lucha Underground's future. Will there be a second season? Will Lucha Underground return? I personally hope they do, because they left a lot of unanswered questions in this season finale. And unanswered questions in a good way that just make you want more. You want to see more from Lucha Underground. Just an awesome way to conclude Ultima Lucha. What an epic conclusion to this show. Overall, I give this show 8.5 out of 10. Just an incredible show from start to finish. If you have not watched this show, I recommend you watch it. And there have been 37 episodes of Lucha Underground prior to this one night. So, on El Rey Network's YouTube channel, there is a special video that is 37 minutes long. And it basically breaks down all 37 hours of Lucha Underground in just 37 minutes. It's definitely worth checking out if you want to cram real quick before you watch Ultima Lucha. Definitely worth checking out. So with that said, guys, I want to do a Jerry Springer here and give you my final thoughts on Lucha Underground as a whole. Lucha Underground was undoubtedly one of the hottest shows this year. This show made Wednesdays must-see TV for wrestling fans. I loved this show. I mean, every week for 1 hour, you got top-notch wrestling from some of the best wrestlers out there. You know, luchadores and luchadoras from AAA. You know, you had past WWE stars like Johnny Mundo and Alberto El Patron. Past TNA stars like Hernandez. You had Davari. You had Jack Evans. You had Sexy Star, this remarkable luchadora who was not afraid to face anybody, woman or man. I mean, Sexy Star, what a remarkable female she is in professional wrestling. And speaking of Sexy Star, oh my God, I almost forgot this. Freaking Marty the Moth kidnapped her at the end of the show, tied her hostage, and said that she has not seen crazy until she meets Marty's sister. Hashtag rescue Sexy Star. Someone go out there and rescue her. I mean, Lucha Underground not only gave you great wrestling, but segment-wise, you felt like you were watching a movie. The backstage segments, the vignettes, everything going down, you felt like you were watching a movie. And it had that Robert Rodriguez authenticity to it because he was an executive producer on the show because it was his channel, El Rey Network. I mean, guys, if you don't want to sit through 3-hour Raws and deal with 20-minute opening segments involving Seth Rollins and the Authority, ridiculous segments in the ring, goofy crap, you know, if you don't want that, watch Lucha Underground. Watch NXT too, you know, because you get the best of both worlds, so to speak, within 1 hour. I mean, Lucha Underground just delivered show after show after show for 1 hour. Keep that in mind. The matches were always consistent, good to great. And there were a lot of great matches throughout the first season of Lucha Underground. Prince Puma and Johnny Mundo all night long for the Lucha Underground Championship. And that was basically an Iron Man match. But still, that was a great title match. Fenix and Mil Muertes in the Grave Consequences match. I mean, that match was friggin' insane. That took the casket match to a whole new level. It raised the bar for casket matches. That, in my opinion, is the best casket match I have seen as a wrestling fan. You had the Trios Championship matches involving Team Havoc, especially that ladder match where Angelico did that insane drop kick from the balcony into the ring. I mean, you have to see that to believe it. And I know I'm getting a little excited, you guys, but I appreciate Lucha Underground for the wrestling that they provided every single week. I mean, this was top-notch wrestling, straight up. Yeah, Sexy Star and Pentagon Jr., they had a couple real good matches. One of them was a submission match, you know, where Pentagon just was, you know, just cranking the pain, turning up the pain level on Sexy Star with the submission moves he would perform. I mean, just great matches, good to great matches throughout this season. And you can always check these matches out on the El Rey Network YouTube channel. Just click on the Lucha Underground playlist because they have a fight of the week. They have interview segments. They have highlights. Definitely worth checking out. I mean, Lucha Underground, man, gave you wrestling fans what you wanted. Top-notch wrestling, great character development, great characters. So many great characters on this show, you know. And I basically just want to say thank you to everybody over at Lucha Underground who made this show must-watch TV. I can speak English, excuse me. Thank you to Matt Striker and Vampiro. One of the best commentary duos out there. Excuse me. Matt Striker and Vampiro held it down every week for Lucha Underground with their commentary. I loved their commentary. And I told Matt Striker this when I met him in person at WrestleCon. I told him that he and Vampiro were doing an excellent job and to just keep up the good work. And you know what, Vampiro now being Pentagon Jr.'s maestro, the one thing that kind of concerns me is who will they get to replace Vampiro? Because they brought in Michael Schiavello, this renowned commentator, to help out with Ultima Lucha Night 2, because that's when Vampiro was wrestling. And I just could not get into this guy's commentary. I mean, he's done his thing in soccer, baseball, I think, boxing, you know, renowned international sports. But I could not get into this guy's commentary because I just could not. I felt like some of it was forced. Like he was forcing me to enjoy his commentary. He just lacked the chemistry that Matt Striker and Vampiro have. So yeah, I mean, you know, Michael Schiavello, hey, nothing personal, man. You tried, but I just really could not get into your commentary. Now, if they're thinking again someone new to work alongside Matt Striker, maybe an Al Snow, maybe a Jim Cornette. I know that's kind of like a one in a million shot, but Jim Cornette on commentary would be awesome. Hell, bring in Jim Ross. Jim Ross and Matt Striker did commentary for the American broadcast of the New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think it was called Wrestle Kingdom. You guys know what event I'm talking about. Bring in Jim Ross. That would be awesome. That'd be friggin' amazing to have Jim Ross and Matt Striker do commentary for Lucha Underground. That would just be awesome. I mean, Lucha Underground is an awesome product, and it deserves to keep that momentum going. But like I said, guys, I just want to thank everybody who out there, everybody on Lucha Underground, the performers, the writers, the commentators, the lovely Melissa Santos for being an awesome ring announcer. Oh my God, guys, if you know me, I love Melissa Santos. And Melissa, if you're listening to this as a genuine fan, you did an awesome job as ring announcer. I love you, and please keep up the good work. You know, I hope they bring you back, and I definitely hope that you get to, you get to strut your stuff in WWE and NXT. You are just an awesome ring announcer, girl. So thank you, everybody over at Lucha Underground, for making Wednesday nights must-see TV. Thank you for making Lucha Underground an amazing product. And that is it, guys. You know, I can't really say much else about how awesome Lucha Underground is. Leave your comments down below. Tell me what you thought of Ultima Lucha. Tell me what you thought about Lucha Underground as a whole. Who do you want to see make their debut in Lucha Underground for season 2 if they return, which I personally hope they return for second season, because they deserve a second season after this amazing first season. And like I said, guys, you know, there are a lot of storylines that can continue with season 2. Fenix and Mil Muertes can continue their rivalry that began with the grave. Well, that began prior to the Grave Consequences match, because they had a match where Catrina became Fenix's valet, but ultimately betrayed him in the end. Alberto, El Patron, and Johnny Mundo, you know, with MELINA now at Lucha Underground, you can only imagine how crazy things will get between these guys. They deserve to have more matches, and they definitely deserve to have one hell of a payoff, one hell of a match, whether it's a cage match, last man standing, I don't care. The Disciples of Death and Mil Muertes as, you know, the champions in Lucha Underground. They hold all the gold. The Age of Death begins. So many storylines to progress, so many characters to develop. Please, 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 Lucha Underground, return for a second season, because you deserve a second season. You guys really knocked it out the park this first season. And like I said, thank you to everybody on that staff, on that roster that made this show what it is today. So that's it, guys. Thank you for listening to my review of Ultima Lucha. Thank you all for the support. Click that subscribe button. Click the like button if you enjoyed this video. And until my next video, have a nice weekend. I'll catch you guys down the road. And go watch Lucha Underground, because you're going to get your money's worth. Viva Lucha Underground.